Inland Empire is a 2006 experimental horror film directed by David Lynch. It is his most recent film, and it sadly seems like he won't be directing anything else film-wise, unless he surprises us. Anyway, this film stars Laura Dern and Justin Theroux, and is the one David Lynch film I admittedly scratch my head to the most. But does that necessarily mean it's bad? Well, let's discuss. The premise of Inland Empire revolves around a young aspiring actress named Nikki, played by Laura Dern, who has just gotten the lead role in a Broadway play titled On High and Blue Tomorrows. But after having an encounter with a sketchy woman who tells her of a strange tale about someone who was stalked by an evil version of themselves, things start to take an otherworldly turn. And soon Nikki's reality starts to become very frightening. Now, that's the best description I can give Inland Empire, since there really isn't any other way to talk about it, because the rest of the plot seems to exist in its own reality and operates on its own set of rules. For starters, there's a family of humans with giant rabbit heads and a group of singing women who vanish into thin air. But that's kind of what gives this film its charm. This entire plot was extremely hard to grasp, but the surreal tone of the story actually helped make it strange enough to help keep me invested. Not much else to say about the plot other than I give it an A+ for how unbelievably strange it truly is. Next is acting, and I feel Laura's reactions to everything in this movie was more than appropriate. Obviously, this movie isn't meant to be something that you'll understand on the first watch, since there is so much going into it in terms of themes and metaphors. So it makes sense for Nikki's reaction to everything to just be 90% what the fuck. But there's also scenes where she actually steals the scenery as well. Like, her portrayal is part of the reason why this is so engaging, since it feels like you're experiencing all this weird shit with her. And the scene where she's describing being abused as a child was very shocking. It's like Laura Dern herself was abused as a kid. God forbid, but that's how raw it truly was. I give acting an A. Finally, directing. This film is extremely confusing and had me perplexed throughout. It was a very strange film to digest, but that's part of why I love Lynch's films. They operate on their own logic, so when you watch them, it's almost like you're taking a glimpse into another world that works by its own set of rules. And I think this movie is Lynch at its best. This is a movie where David relies more on atmosphere as opposed to story, and I think it comes together in a way that works in its own strange way. You see, the rabbit family and the vanishing dancers may be strange to us, but they seem to exist for a reason. There seems to be a reason why they're in this film, but yet it's not very explicit. Honestly, though, I don't really want to understand this movie, since it would kind of ruin the strange tone vibrant throughout it, which is what I like most about it. I give directing an A+. Overall, Inland Empire is a fucking weird-ass movie, but in the best possible way. This is a movie where my interpretation of it changes each time. My first thought is that part of the story wasn't even real, and on my second viewing, my interpretation was that Nikki was starting to lose her grasp on reality and lost the ability to decipher between the play and the real world. But this is a film that still manages to be quite fascinating, even if you don't understand it. I give this movie an A+. Very bizarre movie, but very fascinating because of that. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and sub for more content.